Hello and welcome to another episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff. I'm Mike Evans.
And I'm David Price.
Oh, hello. Didn't see you over there.
And this is our tame speaker designer, everybody.
Excellent.
Introduce yourself, it's Jes Kerr.
Hey everyone.
Again, Jes back for a second dose.
Absolutely.
You're glutton
Came
for
back for
punishment,
more.
my friend.
Indeed, indeed.
Or is it just the free beer at David's house?
Well, it's a bit of both, I think. Yeah.
I love it. Delighted to have you back.
Thank you. Lovely to be back with you guys.
What are we going to do today?
Well, today, Mike...
Should we talk about not talk about speakers?
Well, yeah. So that's going to happen a lot, actually. I've got a feeling that I'm going to be set up, for various things, including the state of my Volvo and what's going on in my toilet.
Can I just say that's a really good point, because we've got some comments and we haven't had an update on your Volvo for a while now. So how is the Gold Beast and your Volvo?
So it is officially back on the road. It passed its MOT.
God.
And it works perfectly now, except for the electric driver's seat is stuck.
Is it stuck really close or really far away?
It's stuck too close for me. So, but maybe
That's so funny.
Tom Cruise would be comfortable in it. Put it that way.
Excellent.
Just wear some very thin-soled shoes, just so.
I love it. Brilliant. No, and seriously, what are we going to talk about today on this week's riff?
Absolutely. Before I was so rudely interrupted.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
So we're going to be talking about these.
Look at that. You're right in the middle, Jes.
Yeah.
Aren't they cool?
Aren't they
Perfect
cool?
stereo field.
Yeah.
I could turn it upside down. You'd never know, would you? Excellent.
That's good.
Very
do you want to turn it around, Mike? Yeah, I thought
Of
you
course
might
I do.
Yeah, there are
Show
some
the
sockets
Silly
on the back
question,
there.
I know.
But,
Very nice ones too.
They're not going to bother themselves.
I can't imagine they're original. Oh, thanks. Don't you start.
Yeah, no, keep this up, Jes. You're doing great. So
I can't imagine they're original either. These are
Sansui J11s, and but they have a suffix, don't they, Jes?
They do.
They are the
Yes.
Jes Kerr signatures.
I reckon we could get a K in there quite easily, couldn't we?
Yes.
Between the J and the 11s.
Yeah, I think you could actually. Yeah,
That
you
would
could
be
sneak
spot on.
one in
We
there.
could
Yeah.
Tipex it in.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
The JK signatures.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Why? Sorry, I really need to go back a few steps here.
Yeah.
Firstly, why are we reviewing Sansui speakers? Because I don't really associate Sansui with high-end hi-fi.
Yes.
And secondly, Jes, why on earth have you modified a pair of them?
Well,
Let me answer the first question.
Yes, go for it.
So back in 1978, so what were we doing in 1978, Mike? We were sort of mooching around, dreaming of owning a Suzuki AP50 moped, weren't
We were, and owning probably a Linson deck.
Yes. Yeah.
And like some weird cartridge, probably like a Koetsu Black or something.
Yes.
And
Absolutely.
reading hi-fi
Yeah.
magazines like they're going out of fashion.
We were, and in one of the aforementioned hi-fi magazines was a review of a pair of these.
Right.
Now, these were obviously an unusual speaker. Most speakers in 1978 were massive, had loads of drive units, and were normally made in the UK with a teak cabinet. So these are interesting because they have an aluminium cabinet, and it's very rigid, and it's quite dead as well. And these are basically near-field, you could say they're near-field monitors designed for the microsystem craze of that.
They're like computer monitors now.
Yeah,
aren't they?
yeah.
Which is quite cool.
Well, there's almost like now there's a market for that kind of thing, but
There
back
really is.
then there really wasn't.
No,
So,
no, they're a really odd shape, aren't they?
they are, yeah, absolutely.
I think
yeah,
they're
it's
quite
thin and
funky.
tall.
Jes, what were you
Very
doing in
snazzy.
1978?
Well, I wasn't even gestating at that point. So I'm afraid that predates me by a couple of decades.
Oh,
but,
that's just so embarrassing. Why have we got him on the sofa again? Sure, why?
Because he knows what he's talking about,
Yeah,
Mike.
that's true.
For a change.
Okay, why have we got him on the sofa again?
No, it's cool. They're very interesting speakers.
yeah.
So, Jes, how did you get involved with these?
Well, so Mr. Price got in touch and told me he had acquired these, and being of the vintage that they are, they needed a little bit of restoration, a little bit of work, which principally Mr. Anna Peach was responsible for in terms of refoaming the drivers.
That's right.
But when it came to the crossovers, so obviously in a loudspeaker crossover, you've got things like capacitors which can dry out over time, and technology moves on, obviously. So so I had the pleasure of specifying some new upgraded components to bring them sort of up to the 21st century on the crossover front.
So Jes basically, so Andrew Bratt from Anna Peach, who we've spoken about a lot before, was very kind to rebuild them. Basically, the roll surrounds on the drivers were shot,
Right.
as you'd expect. They're rubber and obviously don't last very long. So while the speaker was in bits being rebuilt, then Jes sorted me out for his absolutely top package of crossover components.
Nothing but the
and
best.
wires.
Yes,
Yeah.
no
Amazing.
expense spared.
So,
yeah.
So what did
Amazing.
you put in there, Jes, as much of interest?
Yeah, so the main thing really was looking at the capacitors. So there were some electrolytic capacitors in there which have dried out the electrolytic fluid over time. It sort of gets a bit soupy and it can leak out. So we've replaced them with some very nice Clarity Cap polyester film capacitors from the CPA range, which are very premium capacitors. They're the same ones I use in my own designs. And yeah, it was a little bit of a challenge really, because obviously being such small boxes, we didn't want to rob them of too much cabinet volume. So it was a case of
They're
finding...
not exactly over-endowed with that, are they?
No, exactly. So every cubic centimetre counts with these.
Millimetre, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Is that why you didn't turn them into transmission lines while you're at it?
Yeah, that may have been a little bit of a challenge, but
Okay, cool.
So
But what we have found is they are unbelievably difficult to drive. Now, I don't know if that's as a result of being Jes Kerr or just whether the normal ones are like
I'm not
this,
sure I
but-
can take credit for that part.
No,
but
I think
your-
blame is the word.
your-
blame, yeah.
Your musical fidelity amplifier, what did we have it up to get a decent listening volume?
So this is the Musical Fidelity M8XI, which has got a rated power off the top of my head of 550 watts per channel into 8 ohms, and it's about
it's a beast.
800 or 900 watts into 4. And these things have got, if you believe Sansui from 1978, a 5 ohm nominal impedance, nice easy load.
Yes.
We had it up to 75 on the volume scale, so of a half a kilowatt amp.
And it says on the back of the speakers maximum power 60 watts.
Yeah.
So we had like about 450 going into them apparently.
Yes.
But no, they were just so hard to drive, weren't they? It's because as you pointed out, David, they're sealed box, aren't they? So they're not going to be easy. But there's little things I like. I love the fact that there's a hook on the back, look, so you can,
It's a very
you can put a
thoughtful
square up on
idea.
the wall and just
Yeah.
Get that boundary reinforcement of a whole wall
Absolutely.
behind
Well,
it.
do you know, it's funny you should say that, because I don't think I've ever come across more place-sensitive speakers. You sort of move them like an inch forward and you lose the bass and you get loads of treble. And in fact, I was saying to you earlier, Jes, that the best tone controls now, you just move the speakers to the back and forward.
Give them that little bit of a shuffle.
So, I'm going to sell my graphic equalizer now. So
I bet
no
you've
need
got
for
one.
that
I bet
anymore.
you've got one somewhere, haven't you?
That's the one,
Just the one?
weird thing I haven't got,
I don't
actually.
believe you.
So.
I don't. I'll tell you what you do have.
What?
I was in your toilet earlier,
Oh dear.
and I found something very interesting. Jes, you'll find this interesting.
Oh, right.
I found
Oh,
I
would
found
you?
Got.
Chap magazine.
Oh.
Okay, it's a bit worrying, isn't it? And
Not
it's
for
look,
chaps.
hasn't opened it yet, which is even more worrying. And on the front of it, there's a picture of Johnny Depp, Nick Cave, Michael Caine. But can you spot on here
Yes.
the reason why David has bought this copy?
Well, would it be something to do with the Mustang
Mustang
versus
versus
Jaguar?
Jaguar.
I think that's perhaps relevant.
Shadow. Which would you
I
have?
wrote that feature.
Did you?
No.
That would have been brilliant. Which would you have, Mustang or Jaguar?
That's a good question. It depends which era we're talking about.
Oh God.
So,
Okay, it's never just a simple answer, is there?
yeah.
It's just one word answer.
Default
would be
Jag,
fine.
of course, obviously.
Okay, there
Jag.
we are. There we are.
Jag,
Okay.
yes.
Very good.
Yeah.
Chat magazine.
Yeah.
Excellent. A mag for chaps.
Yeah, can we get back to the review now,
Sorry,
please?
sorry, I beg your pardon. Okay.
That we didn't invite him here to talk about Ford Mustangs versus Jaguars, did we? So,
We
anyway.
invited him to drink all your beer.
Absolutely.
Yes, well,
Cheers,
cheers,
viewers.
Jes.
Yes. Cheers.
So, not cheers to Mike.
Where's mine?
You're not.
you get me
you're,
one?
You're driving.
Did you get me a beer?
No, you're driving.
Okay. Thanks again then.
So,
Lovely.
I'll let you have a cup of tea in a minute.
Oh, that would be a first as well. Okay, well, when you two stopped drinking, what did we listen to? We listened to some choice tracks.
Nice selection.
I had to.
Yeah.
Can I just say, David? I had to put up with Boz Scaggs again.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've listened to Boz
There we
Scaggs
go.
too much. I'm
There we
afraid.
are. Mr. Skaggs.
Lido
all
Shuffle
his
for
glory.
the millionth time. Actually, it did sound really good.
Yeah.
And these have quite a character, don't they?
Yeah.
I've decided that they're super fast,
Yes.
really, really dynamic.
They are.
And in fact, I played when you two were out drinking your beer without me, I played Boom There She Was by Scritti Politti from
Provision.
From Provision 1986 or 8 or somewhere around the late 80s.
88.
Which is like a Fairlight sequencer, isn't it? Which goes all the way through it. Yeah, it sounded amazing. Super fast, super dynamic.
Absolutely.
Really cool. Love
Full
that.
of chiming Roland D50 digital synths, basically.
Thank you for that.
So I'll just show our Gen Z viewers
what a CD looks like.
Physical media.
So,
there it is.
Yes.
there we go.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
You put it into the CD player, press play, it plays the music. Don't have to pay
Spins
£10.99 a month for it either. So
yes, but you don't quite get as much selection.
or if you're a Scritti Politti fan, you do, Mike. You just have to buy all those CDs.
Yes, yes. And actually, if you are a Scritti Politti fan, hats off to you, because can't be it's a bit of green Gart side, can you?
You can't.
There we are.
So.
And then I haven't heard this for, unfortunately, too long.
Yeah.
What did we play?
So we played Handsome Devil by the Smiths, and there you go. Look at that original pressing, very early, very nice. On Rough Trade, no, it's WA. Oh dear. Okay.
Why has it got a barcode on the back then if that's original pressing?
Well, it's kind of it's late original pressing. So actually, the original pressings did have barcodes on almost all but the very first Smiths.
Okay.
So,
and but interestingly, that version is from the Peel Sessions version.
It is. So this was if you're Smiths curious, so this was what they released. This was after the Smiths album, the first debut album, wasn't it? Which was early 84, I think. And they then did a compilation album of basically Peel Sessions and B-sides, and this is that. And so if you bought all the 12 inches on the day of release, like I did, and you didn't, then you'd have all of these anyway, Mike. But
I think I probably have actually got them all, sadly.
I think you might.
I hate to admit. Probably not on the day of release, but I think I got them all.
Well, we'll have to have an audit of our Smiths records, so Jes can be the
Can I tell you the similarity between Smith singles and Hi-Fi Riff? Because it's really interesting. So Smith singles used to chart quite highly on week number 1 and then disappear completely out of the charts.
Yes.
And our Hi-Fi Riff videos like that. We have a lovely bunch of Hi-Fi Riff raff who watch our videos, and then once you've watched it, no one else watches them.
Yes.
So,
well,
so long live Hi-Fi Riff raff.
So it's the spirit of independence,
it is.
Mike.
It is. Yeah, you're the Smiths fans of the YouTube world.
There we go.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, but this was certainly the Peel sessions on this were very interesting if you're a hi-fi geek, because they were recorded live. And they're very flat. They're not sort of super produced. They're not heavily post-produced. It's the sound of a rock band going into a pretty basic, probably 16, 24-track studio and just playing their instruments. And the sound quality is very good, I think.
It is,
And it's one of the things that the better your system gets, the better the sound of these Peel session recordings get. On kind of less good systems, I think they can sound a little bit dull and bland. Yes. I don't know, if that's just me. But
we have actually played Peel sessions before, because we played Micro Disney's Peel Sessions album. And someone in the comments, and forgive me if you're watching again, said, "What a load of rubbish." But there we are. Not everybody's cup of tea.
Yes.
They were recorded just down the road from where you used to work.
Yes, absolute Hi-Fi World.
Yeah,
Maida Vale in London back in the old days. So absolutely. But back to the speakers.
Back to these,
because this is an interesting story. So if you think about early 70s hi-fi and mid 70s hi-fi, they were massive, right? So the Japanese, remember, we used to, Jes doesn't remember, but we used to go into Lasky's, right, didn't we? And there'd be stacks and stacks of these massive Japanese amps and tape decks and stuff, all very, very big. And then around sort of late 70s, that suddenly became very fashionable to have slimline separates, didn't it?
Yes.
So the big separates became kind of half height, and then they took it one step further and made microsystems. And I don't know if anyone's seen the Iowa microsystem or the Aurex microsystems.
Yes, yeah.
But at the same time, there's a little kind of bunch of little speakers that came out as well from Japan to match them, and the J11s were very much from that ilk.
From that mold.
Yeah,
Brilliant.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Jes,
So,
what do you think?
yeah.
Would these inspire you to make a bookshelf speaker, maybe a transmission line bookshelf
Well,
speaker?
they absolutely would. I mean, there may be such a thing in the works.
Cool.
as
That
it
would be
happens.
awesome,
So,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, no,
There are
it's,
few and far between
yeah,
bookshelf
yeah,
transmission lines.
Well, that's it. I mean, the smaller
Yeah.
cabinet volume you've got
No,
to play with, the
I know,
trickier
no,
it gets.
100%.
But
we,
yeah,
in fact, we were chatting earlier, and I think we reviewed some PMC Prodigy ones, which
Yeah.
are very much like that, which
Yeah,
we liked
absolutely.
very much.
They're
Didn't we?
really good.
Yeah.
They're very, very cool.
there is something
indeed.
about small
Yeah.
speakers, particularly narrow baffle speakers.
Yes.
You know, something to do with the ability to image, I guess, because you're minimising edge diffraction, because you've got such a narrow baffle to play with. Yeah, they do something quite special.
And they're
Yeah.
quick as well.
Very
So
quick.
they-
Yeah, very spry and sprightly.
Yeah.
The words that came
you,
to
you
mind hearing
certainly
these.
cannot hear the cabinets.
No,
No, not
they're
at
very
all.
kind of
No.
light on their feet, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And that's a great
Propulsive.
thing. To me, that's a great advantage of small speakers, because there's much less kind of overhang or drag, isn't there?
That's it.
In the time domain.
yeah.
And you can get big speakers to do that as well, but it's very expensive
Yes,
and
sure.
Yeah,
difficult.
sure.
for sure. That's it.
What kind of
Yeah.
challenges do you get with your bigger K100, K200 type things? Try and keep them fast and
Well,
tight.
that's it, because obviously larger cones, so you've got larger mass basically to deal with, and you need a very, very good motor in order to make sure that cone, not only goes out but comes back and stops when it's supposed to as well.
Yeah.
With these, obviously, you've got, I think it's a 100mm
Yeah.
diameter cone.
Yeah.
So again, it's a lower mass to sort of snap back into position
Yeah.
afterwards. So that's
Yeah.
where you get that reduction in overhang. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, with a big driver it can be tricky, which is where cabinet damping and tuning
Yeah.
and so on can really kind of come into it.
And I guess that bracing those big cabinets must be difficult as well.
It can, yeah. Well, that's one of the benefits of a transmission line. You get that natural bracing because
Yeah.
you've got this internal baffle.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly as you increase cabinet volume, there can be more of a tendency for those large panels to ring because they're larger, and
Yeah.
obviously there's more, air volume inside the cabinet, which can hang about for
Yeah.
longer than you want it to if it's not properly controlled and damped. So
And I guess you need proportionally thicker cabinet walls as well.
yeah, you absolutely do. Yeah.
Which is why they're so expensive. Basically.
Exactly. Yeah. The problem kind of increases as does the size of the speaker.
Yeah.
So it would be a piece of cake making some bookshelf ones then, in that
Yeah,
case. Excellent.
Well, Sansui certainly got it right with these.
yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Two questions actually. Firstly, when these came out, how much did they cost?
So there
Can you
were,
do it in adjusted dollars?
Yeah, well, there were 40,000 yen,
Okay.
yonma-en, as they would say in Japanese,
Yeah.
in 1979. So that's going to be, I think. So if you convert to you remember the exchange rate back then, and you convert to now, then it's probably going to be £800-900.
Wow,
that
£900
kind of thing.
a pair.
So
Fantastic.
something like that for a pair.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
How much did you pay for them?
39 I think, on eBay.
Don't you hate him?
Excellent.
David is like the eBay bargain man.
I know. I
He
don't know how
really
he
is.
does it. Yeah.
No. And do you know what? Now after this riff, these will be like £399.
They're
And
gonna
guess
rocket,
which
aren't they?
pair will be on
They're
eBay
gonna
first?
skyrocket.
Not this one.
We should do a riffometer on this.
Yeah. So
Jes, you can't do this because on our
No,
capture
no.
we've only got
Yeah.
two. We've only got two scores.
Absolutely.
you see,
No,
so-
I'll stay mute on this one. Yeah.
So just to kind of give an overview, a final overview of the sound before I give my verdict. So this is a very fast and slightly tonally light sounding speaker, but time domain is brilliant, isn't it, Jes?
Yeah.
And
Very much so. Yeah.
and it's got paper drivers which are very high quality and very light. It's got as we said, it's got a mid bass there, and it's got an auxiliary bass radiator there, which we didn't mention, passive radiator, which is unusual. So I think it's a very interesting design. If you're a speaker geek, it's quite fun, isn't it?
It is.
So I would say, on its own terms as a design, and not comparing it to a large pair of Kerr acoustic speakers, I think even the standard pair, and I've heard a standard pair as well, I'm going to give it 9 for just the sheer thoroughness of the design. And it's just so beautifully built and so beautifully executed. And we're all small speaker fans here, aren't we?
Yes, 100%.
And along with, there's a couple of other interesting ones. The Amstrad LS101, the Minimus 7s. There's this B&O. Bang & Olufsen did a very interesting one, also with a metal cabinet, slightly bigger than this, but really nice. But I think this deserves a solid 9. I think.
Yeah, cool.
So,
I think they look great. I just think they're
Yeah.
a little bit off the wall, a little bit funky, but beautifully made,
Yeah.
really solid.
Yeah.
I think they're absolutely fab. And whilst I'm not a speaker designer, I can see their class. So I'm definitely going to give them a 9 as well.
excellent.
There
So
we go.
A fair
if
score.
you're interested in buying the pair, you can't have these.
No.
But my saved search on eBay took 8 years.
Oh
So-
my God.
Right.
Oh my
That's
God.
commitment.
So
There
there we go.
God, if you've
Very
known that
cool.
when you would, imagine the pressure if you'd
I
known
know.
that. My God.
Absolutely.
Look, and on that note, a couple of things. Thank you all for watching this episode of Mike and Dave's Hi-Fi Riff, but most importantly from David and I, Jez, thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to
again.
be here. Yeah,
Absolutely
thank you,
brilliant.
guys.
And
Cheers.
we'll see you all at the next one. Thanks very much indeed.
Cheers.
Bye.